India, a nation on a trajectory of rapid development, relies heavily on energy to fuel its growth. Among the diverse energy sources powering this progress, hydropower stands out as a significant contributor. The country's vast river systems and mountainous terrain have long been recognized for their hydroelectric potential. Hydropower, with its ability to generate electricity without emitting greenhouse gases, has been touted as a clean and sustainable energy solution. For decades, India has invested heavily in harnessing this natural resource, constructing dams and power plants to meet its growing energy demand. The significance of hydropower to India's energy landscape cannot be overstated. It provides a substantial portion of the nation's electricity, powering homes, industries, and essential infrastructure. The reliance on hydropower extends beyond mere electricity generation. It plays a crucial role in irrigation, flood control, and water management, contributing significantly to India's agricultural productivity and overall water security. The benefits of hydropower have positioned it as a cornerstone of India's energy strategy, driving its economic engine and illuminating millions of lives. However, the future of India's hydropower ambitions is increasingly uncertain. The looming threat of climate change casts a long shadow over the nation's water resources and the hydropower projects that depend on them. As global temperatures rise, the delicate balance of India's climate is being disrupted, leading to unprecedented challenges for its water security and energy future. The impacts of climate change are already being felt across India, manifesting in more frequent and intense extreme weather events such as droughts, floods, and erratic rainfall patterns. These changes have profound implications for the availability and predictability of water resources, the lifeblood of hydropower generation. The glaciers, once reliable sources of meltwater feeding India's rivers, are receding at an alarming rate, threatening the long-term viability of hydropower projects. One of the most immediate and concerning impacts of climate change is the increase in temperatures. India, like many parts of the world, is experiencing a warming trend, with average temperatures steadily rising over the past few decades. This rise in temperature has profound implications for water resources, leading to increased evaporation rates from reservoirs and reduced water availability for hydropower generation. The higher temperatures exacerbate the phenomenon of evapotranspiration, the process by which water is transferred from the land to the atmosphere through evaporation from the soil and transpiration from plants. As temperatures rise, more water is lost to the atmosphere, reducing the amount available in rivers and reservoirs for hydropower generation. This decrease in water availability directly impacts the efficiency of hydropower plants, reducing their output and jeopardizing their ability to meet energy demands. Climate change is not only affecting the availability of water through rising temperatures and increased evaporation, but also by altering rainfall patterns. India's monsoon season, a period of heavy rainfall that replenishes rivers and reservoirs, is becoming increasingly unpredictable. The once reliable monsoon rains are now characterized by periods of intense downpours interspersed with prolonged dry spells, disrupting the natural flow of water and creating challenges for hydropower generation. The variability in rainfall patterns poses significant challenges for hydropower plants, which require a consistent flow of water to operate efficiently. During periods of drought, when rainfall is scarce and river flows dwindle, hydropower generation is significantly reduced. Conversely, during periods of intense rainfall and flooding, hydropower plants may need to be temporarily shut down to prevent damage to infrastructure or to manage downstream water levels. Section 5. A power struggle, the economic threat to hydropower. The impacts of climate change on hydropower generation have far-reaching consequences for India's economy. As one of the fastest-growing economies in the world, India is heavily reliant on a stable and reliable energy supply to fuel its industrial growth, power its cities, and support its expanding population. Disruptions to hydropower generation pose a significant threat to this economic engine, potentially leading to power shortages, increased energy costs, and a decline in industrial output. The potential economic impacts of hydropower disruption are multifaceted. Power shortages can bring industrial production to a halt, leading to job losses and a decline in economic output. Increased energy costs, driven by the need to rely on more expensive alternative energy sources, can further burden businesses and consumers alike. Moreover, the uncertainty surrounding the reliability of hydropower can discourage investment in energy-intensive industries, hindering economic growth and development. Section 6. Counting the costs, the financial implications of hydropower disruption. The financial implications of climate change-induced hydropower disruption are substantial. India has invested billions of dollars in developing its hydropower infrastructure, constructing dams, power plants, and transmission lines to harness the power of its rivers. These investments are now at risk as the changing climate threatens the viability and output of these projects. The financial costs associated with hydropower disruption extend beyond the initial investments in infrastructure. Reduced hydropower generation leads to revenue losses for power companies, which rely on selling electricity to generate income. These losses can have a ripple effect throughout the economy, impacting government budgets, employment, and overall economic growth. Section 7. Beyond hydropower, exploring alternative energy sources. Recognizing the vulnerability of hydropower to climate change, India is actively diversifying its energy portfolio and investing in alternative energy sources. The country has set ambitious targets for renewable energy deployment, aiming to reduce its reliance on fossil fuels and transition to a more sustainable energy future. India's energy transition is driven by a combination of factors, including the need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, improve energy security, and create new economic opportunities in the renewable energy sector. The government has implemented policies and incentives to encourage the development and adoption of renewable energy technologies, attracting significant investments from both domestic and international players. Section 8. The solar surge. Harnessing the power of the sun. Solar energy has emerged as a frontrunner in India's renewable energy revolution. Blessed with abundant sunshine throughout the year, India possesses vast solar energy potential. The government's ambitious targets for solar energy deployment have spurred a surge in solar installations, transforming the country into one of the world's largest solar markets. The declining costs of solar panels, coupled with government incentives and supportive policies, have made solar energy an increasingly attractive option for both residential and commercial consumers. Large-scale solar farms are being developed across the country, feeding clean electricity into the grid and reducing India's reliance on fossil fuels. Section 9. Wind power tapping into India's wind potential. In addition to solar energy, India is also harnessing its vast wind potential. With a long coastline and wind-swept plains, the country is home to some of the world's most favorable locations for wind power generation. India's wind energy sector has witnessed remarkable growth over the past decade, with wind turbines dotting the landscapes of several states. Wind energy, like solar, offers a clean and sustainable alternative to fossil fuels, reducing carbon emissions and contributing to a healthier environment. The government's push for renewable energy has created a favorable investment climate for wind power projects, attracting both domestic and foreign investors. Section 10. A sustainable future. Protecting the environment for energy security. As India navigates the challenges posed by climate change and strives to secure its energy future, a holistic approach that prioritizes environmental sustainability is paramount. Protecting the environment is not just an ethical imperative, but also an economic necessity, as the impacts of climate change threaten the very resources on which India's energy security depends. Addressing climate change requires a multi-pronged strategy that includes reducing greenhouse gas emissions, investing in renewable energy sources, promoting energy efficiency, and building climate resilience. India's efforts in these areas are commendable, but the scale and urgency of the challenge demand even greater ambition and action. The transition to a sustainable energy future requires a collective effort from all stakeholders, including the government, the private sector, and citizens. By embracing clean energy solutions, adopting sustainable practices, and advocating for responsible environmental policies, India can mitigate the impacts of climate change, secure its energy future, and create a more sustainable and prosperous future for generations to come.